Alrighty, folks, I think we are live. Super excited about getting rock and rolling, folks. We have a great workshop here for you today. I'm just making sure that everyone got the link. And we are going to get going here in a second, folks. So today we are going to be interviewing Leslie. She is an amazing nutritionist who went through our program recently, who went from $3,000 months all the way up to $20,000 months. So we are going to get rocking and rolling here in a second, folks. So I am going to, there we are. There's Leslie. How are you doing, Leslie? Oh, you're muted. You're a little bit muted. Just a little
Let's see
bit.
that now. Just a little. You think I
Just
would
a,
get this by now? Yeah,
uh,
sorry, I was jumping off a call, jumping in here.
oh, no worries at all. Glad that you're able to make it here, folks. So no, I'm excited, Leslie. How's your day going,
Uh,
first of all?
Nuts, but great in a good way.
Good, good. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Well, thanks for jumping on here today. I know you're like really, really busy, so we're just gonna dive right in, folks. And folks, if you do have questions as we go, definitely you can feel free to comment them down below. If you're on the Zoom here, I'm just gonna have your videos off just so that it's only me and Leslie on the video for the stream over to Facebook. But if you have questions, you can throw them in the chat here on Zoom or in the comment section over on Facebook, folks. So let's dive in, Leslie. So introduce yourself to people, who you are, what type of business you run, so they
Yeah,
have a bit of a better understanding, and we'll take it from there.
yeah. I am Leslie Owens. I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. So I'm a functional health practitioner, was a behavior consultant for 15 years. So I work with kids. I help families find answers for their kids' behavior, their emotional outburst, rage, aggression, anxiety, those type of things. So I work with a lot of different diagnoses. So yeah.
Amazing. You do a lot of great work. You do a lot of great work. So what I want to do is I want to take people through the journey. So where things are at before CCI, what we worked on in CCI, where business is now, and just share a little bit of insights. I like these to be like pretty like no secrets kind of type of training. So like we don't have to be worried about sharing any secrets on here. We can just share everything. So let's start with a little bit of like before CCI, kind of where business was at, and maybe what were the main things that you were kind of like working on.
What was I working on? I don't know. That's a good question because at that point I didn't even have a niche. I was so all over the
Right.
place before coming in. I was like, oh, I'm working with moms. I have fatigue and brain fog, and I'm doing
Right.
this because I am a mold specialist. Like I have been down the rabbit hole of mold twice. I've helped so many families down it. So I was really trying to figure out I really wanted to work with families that didn't know they had mold. And so
Right.
trying to find that out was really challenging and it kept me really lost and confused. And I didn't have a path forward. And then I also didn't have a plan. I had zero plan. It was just like a
Right.
wing it. Like maybe somebody's going to talk to me today without me reaching out. Like, I don't know. Um,
Right. That's fair. I mean, and I do want to say actually, like, I want to encourage as a new entrepreneur, that's not a bad mindset of like just wing it and go after it. It's better to take action even if you're winging it than no action. So like that's good at least. Obviously, more specific action can be better, but at least you were taking action. So like I do want to
yeah.
give kudos to that because no matter what, work is beneficial, even if it's like not necessarily all the right work, at least you're trying. So that's the first thing. Now, I always do like to ask the question, why did you join CCI? Obviously, I mean, lots of people are like, well, I want to get more clients, I want to make more money, da 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 da. What were your main reasons at the end of the day?
So, full disclosure, you weren't my first business coach. I had been down this road before, right? And I spent a lot of money, a whole year with this coach, and I was taught to do some things, but the marketing wasn't there. And I didn't realize at the beginning of my journey how important the marketing piece is, understanding social media, understanding all the nuances of business.
Right.
And until I came to CCI, I had zero idea. And now I know that having a business mentor is 100% needed in this business.
Right.
Make people don't just make it on their own. You might think they do, but they really don't. There's just no
Hmm.
way. I don't care how much knowledge you have about mold or kids or whatever. if you don't have the vehicle to get there, you're just not going to get there.
I
That's,
often tell
yeah.
people, like, I mean, how many, let's go this route. How many months or years would you say you spend on educating yourself and like learning about your craft?
I mean, I went to school for a year, but I had been at this already for a while personally.
Right.
For, I don't know, my kids got sick 8 years ago, probably their whole life. He's 15 now, honestly, but I
Right.
really started buckling down probably 10 years ago. So I would say
Yeah.
10 years it took me to like really get to where I
Right.
am, honestly.
And what
Um,
I'm trying to show with that is like oftentimes we spend so much time honing in our craft of our how we help people, but if we don't hone the craft of being visible or compelling with our marketing, it just doesn't go anywhere, right? Like you could be the most like let's think about an athlete. You could be the best athlete in the world, but if you live in Antarctica and never leave Antarctica, like no one will ever know about you, right? Like
right.
it's not gonna work. So, anyways, so we joined CCI. Now, one of the things that you've done really good at is you've learned how to utilize social media organically to like go viral, okay? And now that is a good thing, and there's also some bad things that come with that. But I wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit. I wanted to touch on number one, kind of some of the things that you've done to go viral, because I think that it's helpful for people to see. Like, I know a lot of people, obviously, in our program use paid traffic and a bunch use organic. And I think it's good for people to see both and. So, talk to me a little bit about maybe, and actually, I'm sure people have questions about this. How do you decide, like, hey, these are the things that go viral? I'm going to try to push this harder. Let's go there because I think that could be helpful for people to see, like, hey, I can get tons of visibility organically. So, walk people through a little bit of like I don't know if you have a formula in your head or if you're just like, these things worked really well, so I'm just going to keep doing them. Walk people through that.
Well, the first time I went viral was a complete accident. And I didn't know what to do with it. I mean, Candace was my coach, and I was like
Yeah.
a fish out of water. I mean, I had 30, almost 33 million views on the first reel that went viral. Yeah,
Woo.
and that was just on Instagram. It also went viral on Facebook. And it got to this point where I would have these things and couldn't get anywhere. I'm like, I was
Right.
just like a fish out of water going, oh my gosh, what do I do with all these people? And I wish I knew then what I know now on how to
Yeah.
deal with that. So how did I go viral? What I found out that really works for me is speaking to people's pain points. It's the emotional piece. It always
Yes.
is. Always, always. If I am like, I don't want to say I'm like twisting a knife in people, but I do like, I understand what it's like to be that parent because I was there. I had a
Yeah.
kid that suffered through symptoms and doctors pushed me around. And so really reaching out to those pain points
Yeah.
are, that's the ticket to getting people to understand your content, see your content, and
Right.
like and comment, right? So
100%.
that's,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's the truth. If you ever look at any like big viral video online, like it gets a reaction out of you. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a painful reaction. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like a surprise reaction. Sometimes it's like oh, I love that. Or sometimes like basically I often think about like what's gonna spike my adrenaline or like basically give me dopamine or something like that. Like I mean that's
Mm-hmm.
what social media is, right? We need to grab people's attention before they're gonna listen, right?
Yep.
With going viral, it's awesome, but also there are some downsides to it, right? There's a lot of bad quality leads that come from it. There's a lot of like sifting through leads. So maybe speak to that a little bit, just because if anyone here is like wanting to go that route, I kind of want them to be aware of what that looks like.
Yeah, so when I first started, I actually thought that was the point, right? So I thought being viral, you had to have all of these people coming at you. And actually, I cannot tell you the number of times I've had somebody just be like, okay, breathe. I can't believe this is happening again, because you can't talk to that many people. It's not quality leads at all. It's people that
Yeah.
might be like, well, what'd you do? Well, what happened? And I'm like, I do not have an hour to tell you my whole
Yeah.
life story right now.
Right.
So it didn't, as you said, it didn't bring in quality leads. And I actually found that when I tapped into the people I knew I was talking to, no matter how
Yeah.
many people I had following me, those were the people that really were for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So going viral, I'm like, I kind of cross my fingers all the time. Like, please don't let this one go viral because it's so hectic.
Yeah.
Honestly, because I will tell you, it's like clockwork. Every 3 weeks on Facebook, I'm going to go viral. And it'll be a
Right.
reel from 2 months ago. And
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
what's going to trigger it, but it's happened that way for the last probably 6 months. There's
Right.
a pattern, and
Yeah,
I'm
there's
not
a
a fan.
pattern.
I'm
Some
not a
type of
fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. So Now, let's talk about kind of some of the systems now that we've set up in place for when you get a lot of leads. Because when you get a lot of leads, basically, like we often talk about, I made a video the other day with like a funnel, which is basically like, okay, when you got so much pressure coming down your client acquisition funnel, the how do you make sure you find the right people versus the wrong people? It's what we call a filter, right? So you
Yeah.
started to add different filters in of where you could quickly move on from people or you could quickly see they're a gem in the rough, right? So talk people through a little bit of how you started to add those filters in.
Yeah, so well, I would do a call to action, right? And ask people, if they want to see my guide or whatever, and I would send it. But I have qualifier questions in my DMs always. I would
Mhm.
ask, what they have done, what have they tried so far? Have you approached this through holistic or functional lens before? And kind of get
Yeah,
information to qualify them. So I did a lot of pre-qualifying before I offered to get on a call with them to talk about my program because I
yeah,
didn't want to waste my time on a phone call with somebody
yeah,
that really wasn't a good fit. So I really spent time in the DMs, but not too much time because that also would backfire on me. I noticed because moms are
yeah,
busy. And so it was a lot of juggling and really figuring out who I was talking to. More than anything was figuring out
100%.
who I was talking to over and over again. And it was a
So
repeat and
basically,
rinse.
right, coming up with a criteria for yourself,
Hmm.
right? For yourself, what were the main pieces of criteria that you looked for as like green flags or red flags?
Mm. I leave with my intuition a lot, honestly. I
Okay,
really
there you go.
do. And I can tell that when I ask somebody, what have you tried? And I'm looking for people that have done some natural things or explored some things or done their own research. And it's been like, hey, I know that I'm looking for root causes. I've tried these random supplements.
Right.
I've seen a shaman, a muscle tester, whatever, right? Those are
Yeah,
kind of my clues that, oh, they have an idea what I do. I have found that people that have been in conventional medicine and never explored or researched anything else, they aren't my people yet.
right.
And
Yeah.
so those are my cold leads. And I may put them in my Facebook group and warm them
Yeah.
up and see if they come to me as a warm lead. And that's kind of that's my funnel right there.
That's a great way. And I've often described it this way, which is like there are some people who are in the chapter where you are the perfect guide, and there's some
Mhm.
people who are just a couple chapters too soon, and you can't help them yet, right? If someone's just brand new to anything functional, they don't know anything, there actually has to be a lot of education before they would purchase something on average, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so just making sure that you're attracting people who are at the place of the journey that it makes sense. Even like, let's say for working with us, there's people who are thinking about maybe I should get a certification to be like a nutritionist. We can't help those people yet, right? They're too soon. And then there's people who are like, I built a nutritional empire and I make $1 billion. Those people are way too far down the journey, right? So we have to
Hmm.
find that middle ground of like, where in the journey do we help someone? And coming up with a criteria. Your marketing is better. It's you get on the call with better people. They're more likely to actually buy, etc. All the good stuff.
Hmm.
Um, Now, also one of the big things that you have in this filter is also like a bit of like a value piece of some sort. I think it's like a video of some sort. Walk people through how you use a bit of a video at this part of the process to not only probably warm people up, but to also see if they're like kind of serious about this.
Yeah, so I put out a video to make sure. So I qualify them first. And if I think they would be a good fit, I make it sound like that, oh, you're one of those people that I think would be a good fit. I don't send this out to everybody. So I make them feel special. They
Yeah,
watch the video. It's about my program, it's about how I work. If they're still interested, at the end it tells me they have to tell me they're in.
right,
And they're in on a free call to talk even more about the program and how, I can help them and investment and all of that and what that looks like. So that's
right.
my funnel right now, and it has worked really easy. And I had to simplify mine,
Mhm.
really streamline because of those times where I do go viral. I have to, my system is like boom, 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 boom. I even hired somebody recently to help me and those
That makes
times when
sense.
yes, because I mean, there was times when Candace would be like, I'm sorry, you answered how many emails today? And it would be 200 to 300 emails that I would just sit and my husband would bring me food and be like, you all right? And I'm like, no, I'm not all right. um, I got clients out of it. I'm not saying it wasn't, but it was a lot, it's
For sure.
so
For sure.
really getting your process down because what works for me may not work for Sally or
Exactly.
Tina, and
Yeah.
I had to really, that was something Candace and I worked a lot on is figure out who my people were and what they needed.
Yeah, for sure. And that's where, like, as much as there's a lot of similarities in different businesses, there's also some distinct differences, right? Where it's like, okay, this is working a bit differently. Here are some of the things that we have to apply to like work through this. And it takes some time, right? And I think, and I wanted to speak to this because I think a lot of people think that somehow magically you hire a business manager, month one, you make $1 million. That's not always the case, right? Now, obviously, some people get fast results, some people take a little bit longer. I'd like for you to share how it actually took you a bit longer because we had a little bit more things to figure out to get to some of those bigger months. Because I was like, I mean, everyone watching this, listening to this, to understand that the journey does look a little bit different per person, right? So maybe
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how you started to see maybe the results coming to stack up, and then kind of like how you saw all of a sudden this like big growth after putting so much time and effort into it.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the program for 6 months and was kind of treading water at this point. And there were a
Yeah.
couple of things through this, though. I had switched my niche and we had switched who I was talking to. First, we were talking to moms, and then we were talking to moms and kids, and then, about moms and kids. And then I went straight to kids, but talking to moms and really getting
Mm,
an understanding who I was talking to. So that all took time. And even my messaging, the longer it got, the more I didn't get a response to, the shorter, quick questions, the more they responded because moms, I found out. I mean, I know they're busy, but they also are like, let me look on my phone for 2 seconds and then they'll forget there was a message there. I mean, I do this all the time myself. So
yeah,
we had to really figure out like short messaging, quick, easy turnaround for this. And I think all of that process just took me longer.
for
I
sure.
had so many steps in there trying to figure out what steps are correct for my people. And that took Candace, I think you came in, like it took a lot of us like putting our heads together and trying different
Sure.
things over and over again until it was like, oh my gosh, now people are responding.
How it works.
And I'm pretty sure whatever worked for me didn't work for somebody else. I have friends of mine all the time asking me, how do you post on social media? I was like, well, I promise you just don't post and ghost. I promise you it's not some random reel. I promise you you're not
Yeah,
just asking things. Like there is a system and method to everything you're doing, and you have to figure that out for who you are
100%.
and your
100%.
people. And so,
And that's
yeah, it
important.
did take me longer because of that, right? Figuring
And
that
that's
out.
okay. And that's
Yeah.
again, it's like, okay, we had to figure out the niche thing a little bit. We had to figure out the messaging piece. We had to figure out how to filter people better off of these viral things. And yeah, figuring things out takes time, right? We all want the business like that doesn't need any figuring out, but like we all have our own figuring out. And so then obviously you started to have some bigger months and you started to, I mean, honestly, crush it the last couple of months. It's just been this like steady increase of business. And how has it felt feeling now the fruits of all the work that you put in?
Amazing. Because I'm finally like, even my
Yeah,
husband's like, oh my gosh, all the work you did. Because now, like, my whole family's changed. Everything has shifted. There's not these financial burdens anymore. I can now be like, hey kids, you want to go do this? And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, come on, get in the car. So it has because, there was financial strain there because all of my time, energy, money, everything went to this. And when you finally see that shift, it's like, thank God. But it's a
I-
work in progress, right? You have to, I kept believing in me. Probably when
Mhm.
my husband gave me the eye of, are we sure you should be doing this some more? And I was like, I am not stopping because I know what I'm doing is going to help eventually.
Sure.
Um, yeah, but it is
100%.
we're in a society of quick fixes, and we think that's what's going to happen. And I know when I'm working with families, it's not going to be quick. So I don't know why I had to
Mhm.
keep that mindset, right? Going through this, that it's going to happen.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
it did. And now it's
100.
continuous.
Yeah, and now it's consistent. I mean, you've had consistent months, and they've actually kind of like been like actually edging up even a little bit month after month for I don't know the last 3 or 4 months here. And I think this is such a good mindset because I often ask people like a lot of people obviously they want like let's say a 10K month or a 20K month like in the next 3 to 6 months. But I often ask them a question to just get them to evaluate their timeline. I'm often like if it took you 2 years to get to where your business was making $20,000 a month, and you had to be consistent with it. Do you feel like that would be still worth it? And most people say yes to when asked the question. But a
Mhm.
lot of people in the moment have those feelings of like, oh, is this going to work? They have the doubts. And I often say one of the best traits of a successful entrepreneur is just resiliency and just like not quitting. I'm basically like, if you don't quit, your chances of winning are very much higher, basically. And I'm actually curious. I wasn't planning on asking this question, but in those moments, maybe when there was some doubt, what brought you back to belief? And maybe half belief, maybe just barely enough belief to keep going.
I think a couple things. I think first of all, I'm very stubborn and I don't like to lose. So I'm a little
Yeah,
competitive in that way. And I
I
was
like
like,
that.
I
Yeah,
had promised my husband this was not going to be for no reason, right? And I was like, I cannot let him and my family down. So that was part of it. I mean, Candace was part of that as well. Of,
for sure.
there's a lot of, you know, I wanted her to call me on things and she had no problem doing that when that time came because I asked for it. I was like, listen, is this wrong? So she was helpful in that as well. And I think I have all kind of things around my desk that say different things to me that I remember to look at constantly, because if not, during those hard times, yeah, there would have been times that I would have been like, that's it, I quit. But I had come so far and done so much work that I was
Yeah,
just like, I can't just walk away.
yeah, I
Um,
love that. I love that.
yeah.
I got one more question for you, but folks, if you have any questions for Leslie or myself, feel free to comment them down below now because we won't be sticking on here too much longer. Last question I have is going through the CCI program, what would you say are your top two things that were either the most valuable or you enjoyed the most being inside of the CCI program? It could be a strategy, it could be just the one-on-one mentor, it could be the group trainings that we have. What two things would be top of your mind that you're like, this was super helpful and like I loved it?
That's hard. That's a hard question. I loved obviously having the one-on-one support and knowing that if I was spinning out, that there was a meeting coming up with Candace anytime now, and she would straighten me back out. I also
Yeah.
the group coaching was amazing because I think hearing the way different coaches did things and hearing different people's businesses and what they were doing was really like,
Mm,
oh, maybe that will work for me if I did this to what she's doing, and I
right.
would bounce it off of Candace. And I think that was probably really big for me, and understanding how the sales calls, like listening to those trainings and how different people approach them was huge, because I was doing them one way, but until I heard how other people were doing them, even though I have a script and stuff, there are certain little things
Yeah.
in there that I use to this day, obviously, and even feel a little bit more comfortable than I did 6 months ago, even though I'd been doing them for a while. But now I'm
100%.
like, I've landed in a place where I'm like, okay, this is a person that's going to do well or not. Like, and I kind of went with that momentum today. And I mean, I sold two today alone.
Two
So
today? Wow. How
yeah.
much did you contract today? I need to know now.
Well, so they both paid down the deposit. So it was 5,000 today, but both programs together were 11 total.
Wow.
Yeah.
You folks, you are looking at an 11,000 per day contracted.
Thanks.
Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't even like, no big deal. Exactly, Terry. That's amazing, Leslie. That's amazing. You're crushing it.
Thanks.
Um, and I love how you said the one-on, and it's so interesting. I explain this to people, but you explained it very well, which is the one-on-one was great for like the accountability and customization and for you whenever you needed it. But the group actually was kind of the whole stronger together by like you're hearing all these other things, and then you're like, okay, grabbing the pieces that actually would work well for you. And I think it's an important piece of like we're stronger in a community, but also it's very helpful to get like one-on-one eyes to customize for you, which I should really use that to sell our program because that sounds amazing. You said it way better than I could say. You should be my closer. No, I'm kidding.
Well, so I
But
say
anyway,
that in my program because I have a group and one-on-one
okay,
aspect. So it is
I
sort
love
of
that.
what I
Okay.
say. So I'm glad it landed well with you.
Oh, that was good. That was compelling. It was very good. Folks, the only question we have so far is what's your website, Leslie?
It's
Do you
Leslie
have a
Owens.
website?
I do. It's LeslieOwensHolisticHealth.com.
LeslieOwensHolisticHealth.com.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then one question from Amy Wise here is what made you want to change your niche after doing biz coaching before? So yeah, I guess you had done business coaching before working with us. What made you want to change your niche now working with us?
So what I was finding is that I was working with moms that had brain fog and fatigue, and then they would ask about their kids. And I found out, I kept thinking, oh, moms need to put the oxygen mask on themselves, and none of them did. And looking back, I didn't do it. When my kid was sick, yes, I had things going on,
Right.
but I was like, my kids have a short time being a child, and I felt the time clock ticking. Wow, that was hard to say.
Yeah.
So I really,
Yeah.
myself, that's the way I felt about it. And the more parents I talked to, the more moms I talked to, the more I realized they were like, but can you help my kid? So that's what made me make the shift that it's also my wheelhouse. I really needed to go back to my roots. I was a behavior consultant for 15 years for kids on the
Mm.
autism spectrum, emotionally disturbed kids, ADD, PANS, all of that. And then my own kids walked that path. So I was like, why am I avoiding a path that keeps showing up in my life? So yeah, that's what made me
Yeah.
turn left,
Well, I
honestly.
like that. And I think for a lot of people, it is that exactly. Just trying out some different things and then kind of like some people it's like a eureka moment, and some people it's just like they keep on basically like rooting in on it. That's a great answer. Other question is, I understand that each person has its own path to walk, but does CCI guarantee success in finding clients? Leslie, do we guarantee success in finding clients?
Yeah. I mean, it worked for me.
Okay, I need to be transparent. We do not guarantee in our contracts that we
No, you don't, but
help you be successful. So here's the truth. With something like CCI, it's kind of like if you were to get any kind of like fitness and health coach, or I like using running analogies because I'm a runner. So if I hired a marathon coach and I was like, can you guarantee me that I will run a marathon? They'd probably be like, it's totally dependent on the work you put in, how closely you follow my plan, making sure you don't get injured some way, and like I don't know that your nutrition is good and all these things. Like they're like if you do all the things I tell you, your chances of like your likelihood of it happening is much higher. But can the marathon coach guarantee that I'm going to run a marathon? No, they can't guarantee. Even on race day, if I do everything perfectly, it could be a really hot day and I could fail out of the race and I might not run it. But the coach still helped me get further. It helped me build my running. It helped me build my mindset. So with CCI, I wish we could guarantee success, but honestly, I actually think that that would be unethical of me. That would be me actually lying to you. And so I would rather be brutally honest with you and tell you, you actually need to put in the work, learn the right strategies, and take time. Because for some people in our program, great, the first month or the third month, they're at 20K months. But for some people, it takes 6 months, 9 months, even 12 months to get to their first 10K month. And so it isn't guaranteed, but I think that there's a much better chance of you hitting your goals and having a better business if you do work with a business mentor. So that'd be my answer to you, Diana. Hopefully that makes sense. I uh I wish for everyone that I could guarantee success, but we live in a world that's not that perfect. So, folks, there's no other questions. I don't want to keep any more of Leslie's time. She closed 2 clients today. I'm sure she has some admin work to do now.
yeah.
So thanks for jumping on, folks. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you all taking your time. Leslie, thank you the most for
No,
taking your
thank you.
day. And what's next for you? You've done 20K a month. What's next for you?
I mean, I'd like to see 30 next. That's my next goal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So we'll see.
Folks,
I'll keep you
we will
posted.
update you, folks. I mean, you're at 11 contracted just today, so
50.
it might not be a bad month after all. So, just make it 50K. Terry says 50. Um,
Okay, Terry.
awesome.
Will do.
And Shard is asking, who are you on Instagram? I guess what's your username on Instagram?
Leslie Owens Holistic Health. Pretty much everything is.
Everywhere. Leslie
Everywhere.
Owens, Holistic Health. There you go. There you go, folks. Awesome. Well, everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. Leslie, thank you so much. And we will be chatting with you folks. Actually, next week, we're hosting another one of these. So if you want to come back and hear another one, we're doing another one next week. So we'll see you folks and have a great day. Bye for now.